if you're a student, this is the only time where you could relentlessly save money and invest money.
Yeah.
To a point where they would judge you for like living maybe in a frugal way because you're trying to save and invest,
Yeah. It's the Soul Engineer back again with another episode of the Global Runway podcast. Today with me, I have Thobo Sitibe, who's actually a friend of mine. We actually came together on the same intake when we started our student journey in Russia. We'll be talking about money, because who doesn't like talking about money? We'll also be talking about life in Russia again, and we'll be talking about Thobo's experiences as a student in Russia, as a person altogether, and just many other life stuff. I know I have talked about life in Russia, and I've interviewed BK about it in a previous episode. If you haven't checked it out, check it out. I will link it down below. And I deliberately chose to interview another person because I felt like you can never get many perspectives about a place. You can never get enough perspectives about a place. Everyone has an individual story to tell. Everyone has an experience that's personal to them and plays a bigger role in the overall story. So let me just say I want to increase the experiences you experience, because at the end of the day, your perspective also matters about other people and just life here in general. So if you have any questions, do not forget to leave them in the comments below. If you have any comments, that's what the comment section is for. If you like this video, don't forget to leave a like. And if you're new here, do not forget to subscribe, especially if you're returning. Even if you're returning, actually. I don't know why you haven't subscribed if you are returning. We need to talk about that. We really do. Anyways, let me not waste any more of your time. I will see you in the podcast, in the interview. Bye-bye. Today I'm here with Thobo, close friend of mine, an own from Moscow. And yeah, the city of billionaires, the city of millionaires, the city of oil, the city of money. He has lots to say about that place. Tell us a bit about yourself, dog.
I don't know, man. I don't have much to say because I feel like some things are better if you experience them by hanging out with the person. But I am one person who has many interests.
Yeah.
But if any of my friends were to tell you a bit about my interests, they'd tell you maybe that I'm interested in personal finance, I'm interested in business, just a few other things, which is quite funny because I don't study for business in Moscow.
That's the funny part. Okay.
I'm always
Yeah, continue.
No, saying I'm always being asked, dude, if you're interested in this, then how come we are studying engineering?
That's a good question. I've always wondered myself.
Well, I'd say the time I was applying for university.
Yeah.
I had options. I had the option to go to BAC. I was going to study accounting and finance.
Yeah.
And then I applied for 2 scholarships, the one that I'm on right now, which is in Russia, and the one in China.
Yeah.
So the one in China, I think I had picked something like something along with mathematics and finance. I'm not quite sure. But
damn.
Yes. Yeah. But then this one, the Russian one that I ended up going for was oil and gas engineering, which is like petroleum engineering. It's something I'd always talked about from my childhood, that I wanted to be a petroleum engineer.
Yeah. So just do me a favor quickly. Just raise your voice a bit, just to be clear. Oh, be closer.
Raise my voice.
Yeah, or you just bring your camera closer.
No, actually, it's using my app.
Yeah. I don't know where the camera is picking up. We don't know where the mic is picking you up from. If it's from the AirPods, just pick your voice up a bit. If it's from camera, you can just come closer to it.
Ooh.
You're talking about the courses you applied for and what got you here in the first place.
Oh, so what got me to Russia? Well, I picked up oil and gas engineering.
Yeah.
We could call it petroleum, because I'd always had been interested in it from a very young age.
Yeah.
I'm talking primary school, dude. So you can imagine it's a dream. I'm like, okay, so this new interest here, which is business or this childhood dream. So I ended up going for the childhood dream.
Always. It's always a childhood dream. I think a part of us are always into the childhood dream thing. Even, okay, what I'm doing is not really, I never knew what I wanted to do in high school, which is quite weird because people always thought I was the guy who had his life figured out and all of that. It was none of that, dog. I was just like, I'm freestyle. Yeah?
I was actually having a conversation about it with someone earlier before we got onto the podcast.
For real?
And like, this guy has his life focused. It's always like crispy. He knows what he wants to do.
Okay, here's my trick. For maybe anyone who's interested. The key is to doing what you're doing right now as if you have it all figured out and not worry about what will come next. What will come next will come when it comes. So I was like, when I was in high school, I just focused on being high school. I focused on what I liked. I liked maths, I liked science, I liked geography, I liked D&T. And I was like, you know what? We'll see how it goes from there. I want to do engineering, some sort of engineering. I don't know what. I knew I didn't want medicine. Hell no. That's another story for another day. But yeah, you were still speaking.
Yeah, I was just saying I ended up going for the childhood dream, which has turned out to be quite the experience, you know.
Quite the experience. Okay, we're going to unbox that term later. And have you, because of the education system this side in Russia, especially in Pathvak, where it's kind of like easy to hop between courses, kind of easy to hop between schools, between professions and all. Have you ever thought of jumping into business eventually, or something to do with money at some point?
As in like after school or
no, right
or
here.
while I was in. Well, man, I just feel like at the moment my wings are currently not really open, you know, because I haven't been able to meet so many people that could have potentially helped me, you know, like see things differently.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd just say between the time that I've left Botswana and the time that I've been in Russia, for me, it's just been with my interests. I haven't really like been able to open my wings and go for whatever, you know.
I feel you, yeah, but then it kind of makes sense because actually a lot of us are here for the safe bet, like for the safe option. Not really the safe option, but like the option you are least likely to crash and burn under even if you don't open your wings right widely. Kind of why I chose mechatronics. I mean, I like it, but there are other things that I like much better than it, but I wasn't willing to put those like up front first without giving this a shot, because this is more like a safe bet, you know, like think about it this way. If you have a choice to choose between, like, you're playing soccer and you have the choice to choose between the bicycle kick or a header, the bicycle kick is more spectacular, but the header will score the goal for sure.
For sure.
You're not sure about the bicycle kick. You're not sure if you're going to hit the ball. You're not sure if you're going to land properly. You're not sure if you're not going to get injured. So you just take the header for that benefit of doubt, you know. That's how it felt like. Was it the same for you?
I could say so.
Mm-hmm.
I could say so. Because from high school, I didn't really study anything business. I was like science, you know, all my sciences. I had geography. I actually did additional math at some point, but I dropped it because, you know, young mind, I was lazy.
Hey.
It was too hard. So I was like, you know, no maths for me.
No way.
But I'd always had a sense of, like, I just had sciences, you know, the technical language, the technical subjects that you learn. And I think my interest for business actually, it like, I wouldn't say it grew, but I think it's something that had always been in me, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I think when I was in Form 4 or Form 5, I picked up a book called
by Robert Kiyosaki, by the way. Rich Dad, no, not Rich Dad, Poor Dad. It was Rich Dad's cash flow quadrant.
The cash flow quadrant. It's somewhere on my book list.
Game.
I haven't touched it.
Game. I actually have Rich Dad, Poor Dad over here.
Oh my days.
But yeah, I read both books, man. Like,
Yeah.
I started with the Rich Cash Flow Quadrant, where he talks about like how we think about money, how he had two people that he called his fathers, like his dads. One who was in quote unquote poor, and one
the
who
poor
was
dad
rich.
and the rich dad. Yeah.
Yeah. No, and but once you get into the book, you realize that he's not really talking about the material possessions that they had.
Yeah.
But the mentality.
Yeah.
Like how they think of,
yeah,
how they think about and all that money and how they potentially be in the future.
Makes sense. Yeah, I think I understand that.
Yeah.
And now I think we're going to diverge into, we're now going to jump into what we came here. What should be our view of money? Like, especially as students, as, maybe it's different as adults, but where we are in life right now, how should our view of money be, or our relationship with money, or even our mindset when we're around money?
Man, first of all, I'm going to tell you.
Yeah.
I've had a wishy-washy relationship with money. I won't be like I wouldn't say I'm the best.
Yeah.
I would say everything about me, because I've made so many mistakes with money.
Yeah.
But yeah, as a student right now, this is the one thing that I don't know what I was watching, but I was watching something on YouTube, and they always stress that if you're a student, this is the only time where you could relentlessly save money and invest money.
Yeah.
To a point where they would judge you for like living maybe in a frugal way because you're trying to save and invest,
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit off the leash because you're a student.
Yeah.
Literally what you're paying for. Let's say you're in Russia or something. You're paying for rent, you're paying for food, obviously you have to eat.
Yeah.
Clothe yourself sometimes.
Yeah.
Like going to the gym. Things like that.
And just like going to school and back and all, like transport, which is
very
cheap. We almost underestimated the fact that 100 rubles, if you really think about it, can get you around town, like a big distance.
It depends on where you are.
Okay, I mean, like, okay, look, okay. Remember when we're in Moscow? Remember in Moscow for like the first day we were in Moscow when we went to Domo de Dovo.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, okay. Forget about the train we took from.
Yeah, we paid a bit for that. Yeah.
Yeah, we paid a bit for that, but within the city we spent like what 150 rubles on the metro.
That's true. If you're like going somewhere, you're only gonna pay about 60 rubles.
Yeah.
For one trip.
And
you can go to do whatever you're doing and then go back for the same 60 rubles.
Exactly. Or even better, like if you have the social card, if you paid for the monthly subscription, you have an unlimited amount of rides, which come on, guys. Guys, transport is cheap in Russia. Okay, not all transport, but no, Ubers and Yandex taxis. Yo. No, that's a different ball game, dog. Now, people who can afford it, like people who can afford it regularly, the quick.
Or if you just don't.
What if you what?
You're feeling special. Or maybe you just don't care and you're like, you have money to waste. Unless, of course, like into school and you're late or something. But there's really no need to be regularly using like Ubers or taxis.
There's really no need.
You want to.
And what I've learned is if I see myself ordering a taxi, it's because I didn't do something on time.
Yeah.
It's never because of discomfort, or it's just because I didn't do something on time. Maybe maybe it's dark and there's no buses around, the trains are closed, all that stuff. Yeah, you can kind of like waver away to get a taxi, but
Yeah.
it's so rare. It's so rare. Anyways,
You
yeah,
talked about,
yeah.
I
Well,
was like, yeah, you're talking about time. Like, man, you know, one thing I've learned, like ever since I left for Russia,
yeah,
is that if I was like to be told right now, like here's like $500 million and here's time, and I was being told to pick, I would pick time, my guy.
no cap. I
Time.
thought I was the only one. You know, I honestly want to repeat. I wish I could just rewind the clock to the first year I was in to Pathfuck, just to to re-spend that time properly. Because I really didn't, dog.
Yourself, Lord.
I have major regrets, especially like at peak pandemic when like we were literally at home. There were no lessons. There was nothing to do. Ah man, I could have spent that time.
And yo, man.
Could have spent that time better. And when I think about it, I was like, oh, dog, what did I do? And I was like, you're watching Netflix, bud.
You know, that was a different time, man.
Yeah, you see.
I have a story actually for that. Or
Okay.
we'll go into
Okay, you'll tell it later. Yeah, but why would you pick time over money?
Because I think actually time flies, well, blows faster than money if you think about it.
It really does.
Time goes faster than money, and the only difference between time and money is that money comes back.
Money, yeah, that's something it was hard for me to, it didn't make sense at first, but actually that's true. It comes back at some point. And
I mean, of course, you're not supposed to use it like
yeah, you don't use it like you want to kill yourself, but you know, use it wisely, it'll come back. Use it recklessly, you probably won't come back. And you do run out of time because you used it recklessly. And what I've seen is somehow the more money you have, you're more likely to get more time. You can buy time, as in, okay, you get more money, you can afford to pay for the gym. You can afford to eat a good diet.
Yeah, actually, like you said, you're buying some time for yourself.
Yeah, you're buying time. You can afford a good medical insurance, or you can afford to pay the medical bill when you're sick. Essentially allowing you to live just a bit longer. But now the big question is, why are you living longer? So if you figure that out, then you know what you're doing with your time and your money. If you have a purpose, then you know what you're doing. Yeah, so you were still speaking.
Do you have any questions for me?
I have lots of questions for you, man. I'm still getting to know you. Okay.
No, you say I was still talking about time. You know, I've realized like so much time has flew by from the time I actually started my preparatory into my first year.
Yeah.
Which I also just recently, you know. Like when you're in it, man, like the first time you get there, like how when we first go to Russia and all those things are happening, like it's not as much as you expect it, you know.
Yeah.
It's not like it's not the best thing that you thought you'd find there. But like I look back and I'm like, man, at that time I was like, how am I gonna make it through this? You know?
Yeah.
How am I gonna make this? And it's all I'm thinking about, man. It's all I'm thinking about. Am I really gonna make it through the first 3 months? I was same conversation with myself every day. And I was like, you know what, I'm not going to complain anymore. I'm just gonna take what I have in me. And when I think about it at that time, man, I thought learning the word здравствуйте was the hardest thing.
Yo! That word sometimes, you know, I can't really spell it without autocorrect on my phone.
Yeah.
It just is, man. That's a hard word, man. That's a hard word.
Man, at that time, those were the hardest things. Those were the hardest things. And it flew by. It
Just
flew by.
like this, dog.
Yeah.
Like right now, we're about to start our third year in this country. I can't believe I'm saying that. My third year in this cold country.
Or you. Or you.
I see you're flexing on me. Okay.
Man.
But yeah, like I never thought I'd be here saying I've been in this place hanging on for 3 years. And maybe it could be the same for you. Even if it's not really like hanging on, but like, dude, I've been in school for 3 years and no one has ever really kicked me out. That's something to celebrate.
Yeah. The fact that you actually like, yeah, that's a big privilege.
Yeah, you see, and you see time flying.
Yeah.
And when, once you see time flying, you're like, ish, at least at some point, this is all going to end. But then again, does it sometimes bother you that it's going to end?
Maybe, yeah. But I wouldn't really say it bothers me that it's going to end as such. But what I'd say could be occupying my mind right now is what am I going to do when it ends? And like, am I in a way right now that by the time this whole thing ends, I'm able to like move forward now, like propel myself forward, set myself up.
Yeah.
You know, maybe to go to another country, you know, and not necessarily come back home, you know.
It now brings me to this question. Sorry. Do you think life in Russia, life as a Russian student, I'm going to exempt medical students on this one because I think medicine in Russia is really, you know, it's one of the best in the world. At best, it's a model of medicine somewhere or else in a lot of places. But do you think life in Russia is more of a gateway to kind of buy time and figure out what you want to do with your life? Kind of like assess, not really assess, but like buy time, you know, buy time to see how you really want to drift in life? Or is it more of, how do you see it? Because sometimes I wonder if the West really appreciates Russian technical education, like engineering, economics, and
I mean, right now, vaccine is not accepted in other countries.
You see what I mean? It's a cause for concern in my mind. And sometimes when I think about it, I'm like, okay, I come with my degree in robotics and someone else comes from, let's say, University of Manchester, or maybe not even, that's a top grade university. Let me just say University of Nottingham with the same degree in robotics.
Yeah.
Who's gonna be taken in the workplace? You know, those are the type of questions. I'm like, maybe this is a chance for us to just buy time. I don't know. What does it feel like to you?
You know, what does it feel like to me? I mean, I feel like being in Russia could go two ways.
Yeah.
You know, you could have a time there and you could have a bad time there.
Very true.
And if it's then definitely you can say something like, you're buying time, you know, to prepare yourself for whatever. And if it's a bad time, then that means it would have been a waste of your time. As we always say about things that are like, okay, that was not worth it.
Not worth the experience. Yeah, that's true.
So, yeah, I don't know if I could say it's buying time, but I think it's up to your mindset, man. Like, however, whatever your daily thoughts, you know, what drives you in the morning to wake up and go to school, regardless of whether or not you like it, whether or not it's hard, man. Like, how hard are you putting in the work to get through, you know? So I think if you look at mostly the positives of what, like in the sense that if you compare Russia to where we're from, Botswana, Russia's light years ahead of Botswana. You know, there's so much for us to learn right here, so much that we don't even know that we need to learn. You know?
Yeah. That's true. Like, hey, Mona, when I think of that, it's something that, hey, Mona, we still have a long way to go as Africa, moreover as Botswana, not just in terms of advancements, but also in terms of mindset. how to experience life. Just I don't know.
The other day,
Yeah. You got
the
what?
other day I got so mad. I got really pissed off. You
see what I mean?
I was like, what's the need? I was like, what's the you don't need.
You don't need to do that. You don't. You could just keep it in the car, keep it in a plastic, throw it out when you get home.
Definitely, man.
It's a mindset thing. And, the argument could be, no, I'm creating a job for the next person so that they can be able to pick up litter. Bro, we pick up litter, we keep this place clean. It looks clean. More people want to come in the country because it's clean.
Yeah.
Don't you think about that? And that creates more money. And more people want to come, meaning more people can get jobs to serve those people that come in the country. And I don't think someone would want to always have a job just so they can pick up after you because you're throwing trash out of the car. No.
We digress.
Yeah, we digress. But yeah, that I think that's a good intro for now. We've talked about a huge range of stuff, and that was cool. Now, today I wanted us. We're on the Global Runway podcast, and a large chunk of this podcast is more of student support. It's more of giving future students, future Botswana who are going to study abroad, and just anyone, to give them a perspective on how life is in our countries, how life is, and what to expect. And I mean, we've always talked about life in Russia for as long as we've lived in Russia, because that's literally what we experience on a day-to-day basis.
And something relatable.
It's something quite relatable. And I wanted you to give people your perspective of life in Moscow, moreover life in Russia, because I think you've spent most of your time in Moscow. Of course, you've been to other cities here and there, but 95% of your time is in Moscow.
Life in Moscow.
Yeah.
First, it's a fast place. It is pretty fast.
Yeah.
Fast, bad. Like, if you're not careful, you really get caught up in the lifestyle. Well, I wouldn't say lifestyle because there's no like lifestyle that's accustomed to Moscow, but like you could lose yourself because
yeah, I see.
There's so many things to chase in Moscow,
Hey, no cap. I've seen that.
There's so many things to chase in Moscow, but I feel like it all boils down to a person, You ask yourself, what am I here for? What I'll keep saying, what motivates you to keep going? And like, do you just now being complacent? Like, you know what, I'm kind of tired, or let me just enjoy myself, my time here, and if I have to go, then I'll go, But I don't know. It feels so general. It feels like a general question. Like,
okay, don't worry. I'll keep knocking and I'll keep asking more specific questions. Do you think if you had the choice to move to another city right now, would you move?
Is there any other, like, or it's just like I have to move and like there's nothing I'm making comparisons with?
No, you have all the data, you have all the comparisons, and you have the choice. I could stay in Moscow, or I could move to another city. Would you move? And if so, where?
I don't really know as of yet, because I don't think that's something that
it's not really something that's been on your mind. It makes sense.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
I mean, makes sense. At the time, but it's not something that I really wanted to pursue. So I don't have much data about other places. Okay, no, this is where I would like to move to,
Yeah. And
so I just keep it.
It makes sense. And let's talk about personal finance in Moscow. It's a common topic amongst every Muscovite, man. You guys are always crying about money. Like, I can't remember a single phone call where, hi, yo, bro, how are you? Hey, yo, dog, I'm broke.
Yo, baby.
Like, it's not even I'm fine or I'm sick. It's, dog, I'm broke.
Yeah,
So, like,
yeah.
what's it like spending money on against your own will in that city? Do you spend money against your own will? What happens, bro?
I, sometimes stuff just comes out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Literally. Stuff just comes out of nowhere. Which I think is normal, but like, I've been in Gaborone for a while,
Mhm.
and I just started comparing like how life is expensive in Moscow and in Gaborone. And I can say it's actually kind of the same,
Yeah.
with some things in Gaborone being way more expensive than if I was in Moscow.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I've kind of noticed that.
I think Moscow, if I was to say it is expensive, it's all according to your lifestyle, man.
Mhm.
It's all according to your lifestyle, the way you live,
Yeah.
the way we live our lifestyles,
Makes sense. And what do you
Because
think? Yeah.
I think about it, like if really I wanted to be so frugal, I could be, because I live in student residentials.
Mhm.
There's store down there that sells, reasonable priced groceries for people who are students. My school is literally a bus away. It's just so crazy when you think about it, how frugal you could live if you wanted.
And actually,
like I
some
said,
people
lifestyle,
that live on like camp, like the hostel is 15 steps away from the school building. Yeah, people like that.
if I never decided that I want to get my finances straight, it'd be.
That's true. No, that's true. And we kind of we don't notice that life is full of emergencies, and if we don't plan for those, and they will come at least one a month, at least one every 2 months. The worst thing is if they catch you by surprise and you're
not prepared.
It's better to feel bad that you're taking money from your savings than to feel bad that you don't even have money to take from. It's a whole different type of feeling bad, and it's not one.
I've been in,
you see,
both, and I can promise you what is the other one. The way you don't have money,
it's not nice.
Not nice.
It's not nice.
Not nice.
At least the one you're saving, like we discussed earlier, the money will come back somehow. Even though you might not reach your savings goal, that whatever happened didn't just happen because vibes. This was an emergency you had to handle. And it's life. Things happen. That's how things are.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. And do you think our spending habits affect the way we think? Not think, but the way our general mental health?
Man, yeah, I think it actually does. Because I'm gonna give an example with myself. I don't know about other people, but if I've spent money in a way I was not supposed to, and now it's put me in a certain position that I'm not supposed to be in, it deteriorates the way I think, in the sense that I start thinking negative thoughts about myself. I start feeling stupid. Why did I do this? Even though I knew it would lead to this. Because if we're being honest, money occupies our minds more times than we even realize.
That's true.
More times, for me to be comfortable enough to have a lotion, I need to have money, man.
You need to have money.
It's money.
Like
something like lotion.
Yeah, I remember one of my uncles used to tell me, why are you leaving the house if you're broke? Stay home. So basically, to leave the house, you need to have money. So it's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's not really well talked about, but it's not something that's outspoken. But yeah, money kind of occupies our lives, and you have to have a healthy relationship with it, right? Especially as students, especially abroad.
It's actually something that I wanted to mention. talking about cryptocurrencies, I didn't really just like get into them. I think the first interest I had were the S&P 500 those stocks. I was first interested in stocks.
S&P 500.
S&P 500. Like if you're someone who's super risk averse, I'd say S&P 500 is something you could read about.
Safe bet.
Because it has a steady growth rate per year, per annum.
Yeah.
Much because I don't know what I don't do, and I'm not a financial advisor.
Yeah, hey, when it comes to money, you need someone who's into money to tell you about how to do your money. Because hey, ask us he owns. We're just trying to help you not be broke, but at the same time, we're telling you, hey, dog, this is not a daily bread.
I mean, we're learning as well.
So yeah, nah, it makes sense. Yeah, you're still talking about the crypto. So you started with the S&P 500, and then later.
Well, no, I haven't. I have actually funny thing, which I was hoping you would ask me. I actually haven't started with it because it's valid.
Okay.
Because at the time, I think actually this goes back to the story that I wanted to tell. Yes.
Yeah.
Last year in March, I think I was occupying myself by just reading stuff on the internet about personal finance.
Yeah.
So I think I found out about this thing called Bitcoin, which I actually think I found out about in 2019. But yeah, last March is when Bitcoin crashed.
Hey, hard.
When Bitcoin crashed. And guess what, my guy? At the time, I'd set out. I was like, okay, sharp. I can see what this thing is crashing. And what happens after crashing? It goes back up. From my little knowledge that I had at the time. So I've set out now all I have to do is look for a platform where I can buy my crypto. I should learn how to store it, all that type of stuff, which I basically just did not do, which I do not know why, but it happens.
It happens.
So this money that I set aside for investing or whatever, I bought shoes.
This is such a typical student story, man.
Man, because look, like at the time when Bitcoin crashed, I think it crashed to about 4,000 USD, like per Bitcoin. And I only woke up, like I'd say, I only really woke up where it was now looming around 30 and like 40, 50, 60. And imagine if at the time
you had copped it.
I just copped a fraction, maybe like something worth 200 USD. It would have 10x by now. I'd have around like 2,000 just from.
Where's my calculator? Hey, hold on. Yeah. But I know the regret, I also have my own Bitcoin story, which hurts me because I found out about crypto when it was still way less than 3,000, way less than 2K.
When was this?
2019, but I also knew about it in 2017, 2018. And I was so, bro. You see, I was like, hey, man, it just kind of hurts you where you kind of like see potential in something, but like, because your financial position, you can't convince the next person to say, hey, yo, dog, let's cop.
That's actually quite important because I've actually missed out on a couple of opportunities because when they came at the time I was broke.
Yeah.
Because of like inflating my lifestyle, man, which is which is one of the things that pushed me into saying, actually, dog, like,
I know that feeling.
Yeah.
And I agree with that. I think we shouldn't inflate our lifestyles as students because there's really no need to. And hey, man, and at the same time, we have to constantly fight ourselves as students. Fighting our
abroad. I'm saying especially being abroad,
fighting our own desires, fighting the influences of our friends, the influences of instant gratification, impulsive buying, and with things like Amazon Prime and Ozone, 1 day
Actually,
delivery.
I was saying it's actually Ozone Prime. Funny thing.
Yeah. Ozone Prime, next day delivery, and all this stuff. We buy today, get tomorrow. Things like just Dostavka, or hey, Dostavka causes you to spend recklessly. Anything with that Dostavka. Because that feeling of when you get into a store and you really think hard of whether I really need this. You spend time debating yourself and you walk out the store and you don't feel bad. But with Dostavka, once you've pressed buy, wait.
Man, and if there's a sale there.
Exactly. You're gonna miss out,
Yeah.
It's just those little psychological hacks these companies have really drilled into our minds, and I getting more money because of that. Those things are dangerous to our spending as students and just as people anywhere on earth. And hey, they put us in positions where we wouldn't be ready to actually jump into opportunities that would matter for us in the future. And you're right about that. You're very right. That's true. And I wanted to ask you this. The last time we talked, well, not the last time we talked, but in one of our last calls, is the time you're telling me that you left Instagram. Well, not really, but I found out you left Instagram because I was looking at a story, and then I'm like, let me send this guy this story. And then I'm trying to share, and I Google and I try search for your name. I'm like, hey, this man is not on Instagram. So then I leave and I go press, like, I go search for you, like, properly on the search thing. I'm like, this man has gone. What's happening, Kante? So then we talked about it, and I was like, wait. So what really happened? Just take us through. What happened for you to leave Instagram?
Man, okay, this is a little personal, but I'm ashamed because I think it's something that's useful.
Yeah. Well, just share the useful parts. You don't have to share everything.
Yeah, of course. I think at the time, man, it was at a time in my life where I was just really assessing myself and the direction that I wanted to go, and I started thinking about my social media, the type of representation it makes of me,
Yeah.
Like I was like, okay, if I was somebody else and I came to Thobo's page and I'd see whatever content he makes, what would I think of him? Which is like, you'd be like, okay, don't care what people think of you, but impressions count,
Too hard.
They count, man. And at the time I was putting out so much content of myself, looking cool or whatever. I was like, man, okay, so what value am I actually bringing to people that see my content?
Yeah.
Besides the fact that it's all about me looking cool or whatever, like.
Yeah.
So that's when I decided that actually, something that we talked about, I was like, I think I got so lost in making posts that sometimes if I had to wear a certain piece of clothing or like an outfit, I'd be like, man, this would look good on my Instagram, this would be a good outfit or whatever. And and it just hit. I was like, man, that's too deep. Like, that's too deep. Like, how?
Yeah, remember that convo now.
I was like,
when you try and curate something for Instagram instead of just wear clothes for yourself.
I bought them for myself, I was like, man, I have so many they look cool on Instagram. So that's when I was like, man, I need to actually like put a limit on the way I use my Instagram or like try via the way I think as well. Yeah, so I ended up disabling it. And it's been about a month and some change.
Yeah.
And now, it feels like I'm actually able to like control my world. I'm actually able to control the way I think.
That's true.
One thing I feel like we actually don't realize that social media, it's good and it's bad.
It really has. It's a big div. Yeah, that's true.
And I started realizing that it's actually an open book in the sense that people put out their thoughts out there, like people like for instance Instagram, instant gratification, like I keep saying, it's like a place where it's your happiest moments, And because of things like that, no matter how small or stupid it sounds, like you actually subconsciously compare yourself to other people.
That's true.
Without realizing it, you're like, damn, this guy. Okay, let's say for instance, I'm a guy who wants to make money,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm seeing maybe, I'm seeing a certain person who's living out a certain lifestyle on Instagram.
Yeah.
And then now it's like I start comparing. I'm like, yo, man, I want to do this certain thing that'll like let me live this lifestyle, and it may not always be something that you necessarily need,
Mm-hmm.
And also, you don't know how people get the lives that they live.
Exactly. That's the thing. The truth of the matter is you'll never really know how they got there. And even if they're struggling, if they're managing, if it's their money, if someone, like, there are lots of things you don't know about someone's, like, behind the picture. It's so it's so blurred to us. We don't know. We just simply don't know. Yeah, continue. You're still talking.
Oh yeah, I think I'm done though. But like, yeah, I also did the same. I did the same thing with my Twitter though, and I think Twitter was actually way worse than Instagram. Not in the sense that I was all over Twitter, but like the tweets people make, the content they make, like, man, I was like,
yeah. I think I've seen that, especially when you move from home, especially when you leave the country. Social media starts to become a different type of jungle. One, you kind of feel detached from the content being posted from home. And two, the content of people you live with this side kind of also starts to become not weird, but like you're like, oh, this person's doing this and I'm in the same place as them. Interesting. And not interesting in like a cool way, like, damn, why am I not doing that? In a comparative type of way.
Yeah.
And
like one thing, like when you go overseas, obviously you get a little bit of money, dress better, take better pictures, look a little bit decent.
Just a little, yeah.
You look at, and you get these things from people are like, hey, yo, though, I can see you're living a nice life, you're living a good life. Yo, what? I mean, I feel like if you're a different person, that'll like give you some sort of fake confidence. You feel good about yourself. You're like, man, this guy is praising me. But it'll always be like, why is that the first thing you assume? Because I'm one human being like you, the first thing. And the second thing, for me, it was like, it's not like everything here is like all rainbows and butterflies, Exactly. It's not that. It's not that. It's just that, I felt good, put on a good looking outfit, went to a certain place, took a picture, and then I posted it. And that doesn't mean I like that all the time.
That's true. That's true. And it's still something I'm kind of like, because of the pandemic, there hasn't been anyone younger than us who has come into Russia, or just, I don't know anyone after me who's left the country. But I've seen like, it's something I'm trying to process for the next person, so that they don't move into the same mental space I've seen myself in, and I've seen my friends in, whereby you kind of like either curate your social media for other people, or your life is constantly a comparative cycle, a very brutal cycle of you comparing yourself and feeling like you haven't done nothing with your life. Or people,
like, for example, people comparing themselves with you.
Yeah, you see. Yeah, exactly. Or people comparing themselves with you, because like you'd be like, people, you just post like a half decent selfie of yourself, or even like just a nice building you happen to pass by on a taxi home or on your walk home, and people are like, yo, this guy's living a soft life, and you're like, bro, if only you knew what's happening.
Exactly, dog. Exactly. Man.
If only you knew I'm fighting expulsion, or if only you knew like I got offended by my exam. If only you knew I have my teacher gave me like a 1 or 2 today, bro. There's more to the story
Right.
than the picture. So like
Eh.
there's that. And when I think about what advice I'd give to someone like my age or someone who's coming here or someone younger than me, it's always, yo, dog, don't take social media from face value, and don't take, especially if you're considering coming here, don't take the nice fancy pictures you see on Instagram as the only thing, as the only life there is in, I can speak for Russia, in Russia. As
Man.
as far as it goes, I'm still yet to see someone who's posted a picture of the hostel on Instagram. I'm dead serious. And there's a reason. I'm not even like joking. Like there's a reason, you know. So it just goes to show that a lot of what you see on Instagram is curated. I mean, of course, there are people who live in amazing hostels, and I'm not even gonna downplay that. I've seen very not amazing, but I mean like, you know, nice hostels.
Like decent, man.
Decent, you know, yeah. But like again, a lot of what you see is curated, and don't take it at as face value. Ask if you're interested. Ask about them, like just the lifestyle, not the lifestyle, but like just keeping up with the mental lifestyle. Not even like the real life, the mental lifestyle, bro. Like, yeah, that's the real deal. Get your advice, find out, talk to people.
Someone who like ask, bro, ask. You know, like me, bro. I can promise you, I didn't really ask anyone so any like questions that were like crucial.
Me too.
I think I talked to a bit. I talked to Tenolo for a bit. Normal questions you'd ask: how's the internet? How's clothes? How's
you see?
You know, and nothing in terms of like, okay, how do I pick the school that I know would be like, you know,
legit
for me. Like, I went to Google best oil and gas engineering school in Russia. Found it in Moscow,
and that was it.
And then they sold me. They were like, "Yo, with boxing here," and I was like, "Man," because I was like, "Oh man."
Easy.
I was like, man, you know, that was a selling point for me. I never asked about accommodation. I never asked about the preparatory faculty, the type of education. You know, I never asked about those things.
And just general life as a student, like your mental well-being there as a student. Are you going to be feeling like you wanna jump from a 17th floor every single day you enter into class, or will you feel like you're being valued as a student? You kind of wanna. People take that for granted, bro. Like,
and actually having to go through every day being obviously black.
Hey, I like the way you put it.
You know,
obviously black.
Hey, man. No, it sounds like something that's like so small, or like it's deep, bro. Like
it's a big thing.
No, it's deep. It's a big thing, because I can tell you from my experience, I feel like the words that have been said to me, you know, like the things I've been through because of my skin color, I feel like else in my position would have given up.
Yeah.
You know, but I think maybe for me, it's because from my high school, I've always been a naughty guy. So teachers always, for me, it was something I was, okay,
fine.
Another teacher is, except that this time it's because of my skin color, you know.
You know, now that you mention it, I'm sorry to interrupt you. This wasn't even part of the show, but I have to talk about this. Finish off your story, then I'll ask.
Yeah, I was saying, like, for me, it just became a thing of, okay, now this teacher's on my back. I have to prove them wrong by, like, getting my studies up or something, you know?
Yeah, you know.
Yeah, being obviously black, like I said, you go through, it's not just this I'm telling. Maybe I'll make it sound a little funny or whatever, but, like,
yeah,
people go through things, man.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Because of the skin color.
That's true. I've always wanted to ask though, because I feel my own personal experience is kind of like limited, because I mean, I can't speak for a whole crowd, and my experience can't attest to that of a whole crowd. But the big question, racial issues. I'm one person who kind of like, I easily brush off any form of prejudice, judgment, not harassment. Hey, if you're harassing me, I'll take it personally. But any
Yeah.
form of like bothering,
Yeah.
or just a form of annoyance based on my skin color. So like sometimes I don't even notice when it happens, because I don't want to,
Yeah.
I don't want to carry that mental load with me. Like, yo, this guy called me a nigger. Yo, bro, I don't have time to think about that. I have such thoughts, you know?
Bruh.
So like my question would be, what form of prejudice have you experienced? Because
Like the worst or like
you can give your worst if you want, but you can just give any.
the worst one has to be, man, I'm trying to think. There's too many of them.
There's too many.
Okay. Bro, I promise you, you see me there, like, and you're like, okay, this thing, funny guy, he's good. He's only smiling. But man, he thinks, man. Okay, I think the worst one I've had was this one time. So I'm coming into class.
Yeah.
I have this physics teacher. She just always had a problem with me from day one.
Yeah.
Always had a problem. So I get into class. We were sitting on some long tables like this, like students mixed up. So I came in a bit after everybody. So I sit close to her. I'm doing my work.
I don't like sitting next to teachers, bro.
And then she's like, yo, Sitibe, like you have a strong smell. I'm like, okay, I promise you, I don't know if I've told you this. She's like, yo, you have a strong smell. I'm like, but man, I have Versace on me. Like, okay, I did have Versace, but like, I'm like, so I look at her, I'm like, what do you mean I smell? I'm like, what do you mean? Because I promise you not. I'm gonna just say it in English. She used the words, you have an unpleasant smell. So I ask, I'm like, what do you mean I have an unpleasant smell? And now everybody's looking, they're like, oh, man, she just say. They're like, she say that? She's like, hey, nigga, smelling nigga. So I'm like, what kind of smell? She's like, then she realized, damn, okay, maybe I didn't see that right. She's like,
yeah.
She switches now. She's like, your cologne is too strong. I'm like, wow. Like, what you mean is too strong? The worst part hasn't come. So I'm like, okay, my bad that my cologne is too strong for your sensitive nose. Or what. She's like, okay, move from the table and go sit on your own over there. And just from then, I became obviously black.
That's the thing, dog. Like, you don't just become...
Bro.
But even when the moment she says I'm pleasant, I'll just end up, get my books and move. Sit next to like I always make it a point to sit at the back of class.
Because it wasn't the first time it wasn't the first interaction where she's obviously being prejudiced on me. You know?
Yeah, this lady is always on you.
Like she was like, bro, I almost failed physics because of her. That's how deep it was.
I know that feeling, dog. I know that feeling.
Like it was so bad, I tried going to that class, but it was a lab. And you know, lab work, if you don't have your labs, you can't write your exams.
Exactly.
But luckily for me, I only had managed to consistently submit my labs, whether or not they were wrong. So she'd always also give me a hard time with that, but I'd force my way into getting the work to her, you know, and get But yeah, I think that's the worst thing I've experienced. Yeah, it has to be. But I've experienced different things, obviously. But
yeah, you know. Well, now that I think of it, it's worse in a cool kind of way, you know. Like, it's not like someone just said, yo, man, hey, get out of my class. What's this black guy doing here? Like, I've heard stories like that, you know. Boy, hey, man, stories in this near country, man. Everyone has a story, but again, I keep saying that shouldn't judge Russians as racist people, because in your probably your whole stay here in Russia, you're gonna meet like 4, 5 at best racist encounters, and like you're gonna meet 1,000 good people who will help you. So like
these like people that genuinely like you for you, man.
exactly,
Like,
you know what I mean. So
I mean, obviously, it was because you're black, and it's kind of like,
it's obvious.
dude, I'm human just like you.
Exactly.
You know, but it's like decent people that you meet, and you're like, man, I actually appreciate the Russian culture, like Russian people. I can embrace them.
You see,
you know, yeah.
that's true. So like it's more about that.
Yeah, unfortunately, like I was saying, some people's experiences, they'll rate them as bad because of such things. And I simply choose to take them for it. Hey, whatever.
Can I give
That's
what I mean. You know, like
take it out, you know. They'll be like, you know what? Screw this, screw Russia, screw everything. I'm dipping.
I'm done with this. I'm going home. You know, like that's true. That's true. It's relative. It's relative to how we see life or a lot of things. So yeah, then there's man, to come here. Now that I think about it, you have to be strong, boy, because you're going to meet some face-to-face encounters, like head on, like like you see what your teacher's example, like to me, that's a typical conversation with my teachers and class. Like they won't be like, hey, there's a funny smell. They'll be like, boy, you smell. And like I remember I remember there was a time, this was like mid last year when semester 1 started last year. And we had this other Russian teacher, like Russian language teacher. And you know, it's like mid-pandemic. No one really likes sitting next to anyone. No one likes to hear coughing, anything of a coughing nature. Some guy coughs in class. That teacher sent him home. Like she didn't even allow him to explain. Like it was just and he's like, get up, take your books, get out of my class, go home. You're sick. What are you doing here? I'm like, yo. You know, like that. I'm like, if there's something in my nose or my nose is itching, I'm out of here.
You can.
I'm like, and I'm trying to explain. Now I know this guy's condition. So the guy, he has sinus issues. It's not even COVID. It's just like sinuses, you know.
Yeah. But he coughs all the time. But like you are assuming it's...
Yeah. I'm like, yo. And to make matters worse, this guy's Chinese, you know. So like
oh no,
I'm not laughing, but dog, this was sad. I'm like, I don't know, maybe this lady thinks these owns are like they just pulled through from China or something.
Have the virus in our pocket, like
exactly. I'm like, these guys have been here all summer. These guys have been here way before the pandemic, and like this guy just has sinus issues. That lady was so straightforward. She didn't start off by saying, yo, who has coffee? Yo, if you guys have a cough, please go home. She's like, get up, take your books, and go home. I'm like, yo. And
then if you look at that like in a negative way, I mean, okay, obviously it's negative, but it's easy to be like, oh, they said I have COVID just because I'm Chinese. You know.
Like the teacher then later told us, is like, guys, no, if you are sick, please don't come to class. Like, you are putting yourself at risk and you're also putting us at risk. And she was so calm about it. I'm like, yo, you just send a nigga out and now you're calm.
No, I think at the time, that's which is at least one thing that I would think about like Russians, but we think of them, but they're like
these hardcore people.
Once you realize that they actually have emotions, you're like,
it's so strange.
It's strange. It really is strange. Crying. A Russian person crying. I was like, what?
Bro, I remember this time midsummer last year. Like there was this time I went to go grab a packet of chips from my nearest store. On the way home, now I'm munching on my chips. I'm enjoying my time. You know, it's mid-pandemic, social distancing, so I'm alone. Like just now, not so far from me, I see this other hand when I like weeping dog, like off, like like around like outside buildings, there's always benches, like outside apartments, outside there's always benches. She's just sitting on that bench, man, weeping, and this is like 9:30, Busiro. I'm like, yo, this can happen. And I'm like, this one here, this is heartbreak. It's not this one here is Mjolo. I'm like, yo, this can happen in this country. Hey, bro, when I spent the night thinking about that, dog. And yeah, these people, they do experience emotions that people too, and they get scared, they get angry, they get sad. People. Yeah, that's just how life is. But yeah, man, it was good having you here. It was good discussing a little bit about life here and the crazy adventures, the crazy experiences, a bit of advice. And in closing, what would you like to leave? What piece of advice would you like to leave for a person listening to this podcast?
I'd say work on yourself, man. There's always improvement as a human being, and like if every human being out there is constantly working to better themselves, then you can have a better community.
That's true.
Yeah. And always, like, if you have any sort of plans, go for them. You have nothing to lose. You have nothing to lose, man. Like, and there's always a lesson in whatever setbacks that we have, It could be a good lesson, could be a bad. A lesson is a lesson.
That's the amazing part. A lesson is a lesson. Don't just take it as negative stuff. Just take it as a lesson and see what you can do from there onwards. Yeah, man, that's some solid piece of advice. And I would advise the same thing to the next person. And keep saying, make sure you're a better version of yourself. Try. There's no loss in trying.
Yeah.
That's true.
I think something that I suffer from as well is complacency, Like I did sometimes if I did something great today, I'm not going to do something great tomorrow. Which is kind of, because yesterday is yesterday and it's gone. You'll never get it back. You have this new day to do something else, to do something, add on what you learned yesterday, what you gained yesterday, Yeah.
No, that's facts. And I agree with that. Yeah, man. Thanks for being on the show, man. Thanks for being on the show. Do hope to get you back, on some tips.
Yes, maybe things.
Yeah. How to avoid doggies. We'll discuss that one day.
Some things I don't know if you can talk on a public like platform like that, because
hey, doggies, the pits. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the show. If you have any questions, leave a comment. If you have any experiences of your own, you might as well drop them in. And I just hope you enjoy it, man. See you guys on the next episode. What?
Make someone you edit. Make it bright, because it's dark.
Don't worry, boy. I got you.
Lego.
But yeah, with those words, this is Thobo and I signing out.
Yes, sir.
See.